Louis! At last, there you are.
Mother, wait,
Come, we have to be quick.
No, wait, Mother,
Time is running out, Louis. First, we must...
No! That's enough. I won't go a step further unless you explain to me what is going on here. I'm begging you. Talk to me.
You must trust me, my son. You are not ready yet.
You're the one who should trust me. Tell me what's happening.
You would never believe me.
I came all the way here for you. Now I've found you. I'm ready, Mother.
If only... Louis, I have always taught you to keep your mind open and rational. I know you are going to find this hard to believe, but what I am going to reveal to you is entirely true. Many years ago, I found out that demons really do live among us.
I beg your pardon?
And that they can influence our thoughts.
Mother, listen to yourself. I know you're exhausted, but for crying out loud, listen to what you're saying. Demons? What next? An ancient monster with a head like an octopus? What do your demons look like? Have they got horns and a pointed tail?
No, these are not creatures with billy goat's legs. Forget your Christian folklore. Imagine them more as parasitic spirits. They possess their hosts and direct them from inside.
Parasitic spirits?
Yes, they are capable of going from one body to another as they see fit, and 2 of them are present on this island.
Right, so let me guess. Lord Mortimer and Sir Gregory, right?
You felt it too?
No, even if Home does look the part. But I don't know who else could do it, given that we're on their territory.
Many years ago, well before you were born, I crossed paths with one of them. Since then, I've spent my life trying to find it again. When we recovered the Alizif, I was persuaded that von Burchard was working for this demon in one way or another. But I thought he would hand the book to a middleman during this conference. That's where I made an error that could well turn out to be fatal. The one who Burchard was meant to give the book to was none other than the demon in person, Mortimer. Not to mention that Home had sent Volner to get it for him.
Home and Mortimer are demons?
They both seem to disagree about many things, but I'll admit I never knew exactly why. There are many of them, Louis, not just those 2.
Mother, have you any proof to support any of this?
Of course, but you do too. You had everything laid out in front of you. Didn't you notice anything?
I went beyond the nightmare, Mother.
You understood the Masonic date.
1191.
Of course! It was during that siege that the demon took possession of Sir Mortimer. They spent a whole night in conversation until the early hours of the morning. Mortimer had passed the test. He had charmed the demon, and so it chose him to be its host for centuries to come. But tell me, did you find his secret study?
I did indeed.
Did you see his maps of the world?
He has contacts the world over.
Yes, I've been developing the Golden Order across the world for many years, and I've never seen anyone with such influence. It's simply inhuman.
Well, those property deeds across the world, all signed by the same hand and over several centuries.
I am proud of you, Louis.
I found your notes written in lemon juice.
Where all eyes size you up. At one stage, I was so afraid of losing my mind that I noted everything down. Congratulations, Louis. Wait, please tell me you didn't open Pandora's box.
The urn? Yes, I did. Why?
Too bad. We'll deal with it later.
You mean the conference?
How can you explain that someone manages to bring together so many important figures without anyone knowing?
And without any security or personnel.
Louis, I am proud of you. You came all this way. You found me. You have surpassed me.
You taught me everything I know. Right. How did it all begin?
I saw him.
What do you mean you saw him?
I was 20 years old. I was young and carefree. I traveled the world in search of adventure. In the Persian Gulf, we came across an ancient grimoire that became unlocked. Composed of 7 parts, each one was a book in itself, set in a sort of metal armor that structured the whole thing. When all the volumes were brought together, they formed a single book. On my return to Paris, I set to studying these pages. I spent all my days and nights studying them.
Oh, I can imagine you doing that.
But the writing was in a language I had never seen before, developed well before Sumerian, in my opinion. So I got the idea to form a small occult circle composed of all the major names in the occult world to see if anyone else could crack it.
And you found no one.
And I found someone, Louis. I found him, or rather he found me. He was young, charismatic, he was flamboyant.
You mean Mortimer?
He was a veritable mine of knowledge. I showed him the book, and he was able to decipher a few passages. We spent several months together studying the pages.
He was already old in those days, wasn't he? So you recognized him when you arrived on the island, right?
No, he wasn't in that body. But I know it was him. I swear it was him. The way he spoke, his posture, a few of his intonations, his mannerisms.
Wait a minute. You were talking about 60 years ago. I've lost the thread.
Yes, sorry. He helped me understand certain passages until I realized that he only translated a few parts for me. But I had aroused his interest. It was too late.
How so?
I mean to say he manipulated me. He used me, and in the end, he stole the book with all its secrets.
Did he ever go to your place?
Not once. At least I don't think so. But before disappearing, he proposed a pact between us. He proposed that I follow him and let him teach me, allow him to bring me up.
And you refused, of course.
Why, naturally, Louis. You don't make deals with the devil. After that, I spent my whole life looking for him. 3 years later, in Berlin, I just missed him. In London, I lost 6 members of the order in a chase. In 1741, in Tunisia, I found a sect of fanatics who had crossed paths with him once. 1741, in Poland. 1749, in India.
8 years ago in Venice.
We agreed never to speak about what happened in Venice, Louis.
You agreed, and that was before you spoke to me about demons. Wait, the baby we delivered, you and me, that night in Venice, did he have anything to do with Lord Mortimer?
The child was his son.
We stole his son? Are you insane? I always thought we took him to save him.
That was the case. It was precisely to save him from his father.
Need I remind you the mother died during childbirth? What became of the child?
Later. For the moment, that is not the key issue here. Once we found the Al-Azif in Paris, I followed von Borchart's trail here. I didn't think it would lead me straight to the demon. It was careless of me. He toyed with me for a few days, until I caught on, until I saw him as he was. But he had no intention of letting me leave. We are all his pawns, Louis, and if we don't want to spend the rest of our lives turning round in circles here, we must absolutely get off this island. All right, can we move on?
Wait a minute, one last thing. I want to know what happened between you and Emily's sister.
Great responsibility often brings difficult choices, Louis. That's all you need to know.
Mother, I won't take a step further if you don't answer me.
You dare blackmail me?
I'm listening.
All right, I used her. So there you are. Happy now? We had the Al-Azif, and I didn't think we would be able to escape with it. in order to ensure that the book did not fall into their hands or that one of them couldn't read in us where we had hidden it. I asked Emily to...
It's Emma.
Yes, or rather for me, it was Emily. So I asked Emma to hide it without anyone seeing. And then I disposed of her. I am sorry for her, but she was part of the Golden Order, Louis. She knew the rules when she joined.
Good. I think that's about right. We shall speak about it once we get back to France.
Great actions for humanity have been decided by demons for centuries, Louis. They are playing with our destiny. We are their slaves. And it's time for it to stop. By the way, what was Mortimer's project at this conference?
He wants the United States to occupy all the North American territory. France should recover Louisiana and give it to the United States. In that case, the Americans would just have to push west to chase the Spanish from the continent once and for all.
And as Mortimer controls Washington, you may just as well say that it will put him at the head of a world superpower. We should do our utmost to put a stop to Mortimer's plans. But for the time being, there are more pressing matters.
Are you going to tell me why we're here?
There. That's why we are here.
Reassure me, we aren't going to have to force that one, are we?
I don't think we're even capable of doing it. You're going to have to find a way to open it.
Why, of course. And what's inside?
Something to vanquish them with?
Perfect. So, how does it open?
We'll need several keys. I found a note from the architect who conceived the mechanism in Mortimer's secret study. We have to first gather 5 objects before we try anything.
Are the 5 objects the keys?
Exactly. We have the Clement III cross, the nails, the Gutenberg Bible, the exegesis of Judas, an armillary sphere, and all we need to match up the dates between the different calendars.
Why a cross?
Well, I haven't the foggiest idea, but it just so happens that's what you are going to use to activate the mechanism. I found the one Mortimer kept. It belonged to Cardinal Guibert, better known by the name of Pope Clement III.
Perfect. Where is it?
Unfortunately, I've lost it. When I lost my hand, I went dashing out, and it must have fallen from my pocket.
Remember, Mother. I'm certain you can remember.
Let me think.
You were running.
I was bleeding to death.
You remember the pain.
I thought I was going to faint. Yes, I remember. I don't think it can be far, can it?
Would you have lost it outside?
No, I don't think so. It must be in the area. I don't remember going up with it.
Perfect. I'll search the crypt before leaving.
One last thing before you go. Be very careful. If you come across anyone, they can all potentially be spies of Mortimer or Holm. Don't ever confide in anyone because a demon can slip inside them at any moment.
Wait, not all of them, though. Take Washington.
Especially Washington. He's been conditioned by Mortimer for years. Look at them, for crying out loud. How do you explain their behavior otherwise? The most influential politicians in the Western world gather together without the least protection, without a single aid to assist them, to participate in a conference during which the guests start dropping like flies. Me, Adams, Peru, Hillsborough. Look at the number of calamities that have happened over the past few days. And not one of them has asked to leave the island? Do you find that normal? You'll see. Go up to the manor to look for the keys, and I wager not one of them will speak to you about my being in Emily's room.
Do you think so?
Go on, you'll see. And come back with all the objects in one go. Time is against us.
Famous cross of Clement III.
Perfect.
And 1 key found. So that's the exegesis of Judas. I hope Mortimer doesn't read it very often. Otherwise, he's going to notice that someone's stolen it. But that's just too bad. I need it. Oh, the Bible's still there. An armillary sphere. Perfect. That will save me some time. I only hope that he isn't going to realize it right away. There. Those are the nails I was looking for. I noticed they were old and rusty, but I hadn't noticed these traces of... Could that be blood? Is it really the relic of the Holy Cross? I can hardly believe it.
So, good. You've managed to gather all the keys.
Yes, that's right. I have everything. What should I start with?
Place the Clement III cross on the console. Then you have to put the nails on the disc of the door.
What theme did you start with?
As the fresco shows the birth of Christ, I placed one nail in Bethlehem, one in chapter 2, and one in verse 6. The iris opened a little. I thought it was normal. Behind the aperture of the iris, there is a duct in which I put my hand. I felt something like a valve at the bottom. I thought by turning it the door would open, or the iris would open completely, or something else would happen. Instead, I felt something like an axe cut off my hand. I really thought it was the end of me.
What did you do then?
Well, although I had made some unfortunate choices, I was lucky in that Mortimer was well stocked with drugs. I raided his supplies of medicine.
What hole should I put the nails in?
Well, I can't really advise you there, because I haven't exactly made the best choices myself. All I can say is that you have to insert one to choose a town, one to choose a chapter, and one to choose a verse.
All right, my turn now.
Go ahead, impress me. I'll shut up and let you concentrate.
The fresco clearly shows the birth of Christ.
Louis, I can assure you that that is not the solution to this enigma. This fresco's only purpose is to mislead. I know that now. Please, focus on another theme about Christ.
We'll have to trust her. Yes, it's definitely a representation of the birth of Christ, but some of the details have flaked away. I can't see any other clues. One thing is for sure, this enigma deals with the life of Jesus, like my mother said. You could see that the paint has come off in parts. Difficult to see what was there, but I can distinguish the letters N-R-I. Nothing more. Why, of course. They're part of the initials I-N-R-I that you can find on the cross of Jesus at his crucifixion. This exegesis contains comments from Judas on the different Gospels. It only contains certain chapters and verses, and the chapters are indicated by Roman numerals. The lexicon refers to different chapters and verses from the exegesis of Judas. Chapter 19, verse 17. Jesus was crucified on the 8th of Nisan, 3793, in a place near Jerusalem. The Romans put a crown of thorns on his head. Chapter 19, verse 17. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in the Hebrew Golgotha, where they crucified him, and 2 others with him, on either side, and Jesus in the midst. It works.
Well done, Louis. I hadn't seen those other wheels. Try connecting the theme to see if it goes all the way.
There must surely be a connection between the wheels. I think I can make out each one of the icons apart from the one covered in blood. Going clockwise from the one I just mentioned, we have the halo that represents the resurrection. The waves represent the baptism of Jesus. It's more difficult to identify the next one. Maybe a crib, and in that case it's surely linked to the birth of Christ. The red herring that my mother followed. Then, the symbol represents the crown of thorns that Jesus wore during his crucifixion. The dove also represents the baptism. Certainly another red herring. Then comes the symbol of the Trinity. And finally, the candle that must stand for the Last Supper. Chapter 19, verse 17. Jesus was crucified on the 8th of Nisan, 3793, in a place near Jerusalem. The Romans put a crown of thorns on his head. Seventh of Shaban, 607, first quarter.
I can feel the lever at the bottom.
Good luck. I never doubted you, my son.